I wanted it to be a completely different experience. I didn't want it to look or feel or sound like John Carpenter's movie because we already have that movie and we all love that movie, so it had to be a completely different thing.
I am a fan of Rob Zombie's movies. I think he has his own visual style, his own flair. So when it was announced that Rob Zombie was going to make a new Halloween movie, basically a remake, I was shocked because watching Rob Zombie's previous work, the Halloween connection didn't make sense to me at the time. I believed Rob Zombie to be more suited for a Friday the 13th or a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but a Halloween movie I didn't know. But it wasn't until I saw some photographs of Tyler Mane dressed up in the costume as Michael Myers. I was and still am to this day very impressed of how Michael Myers looks in Rob Zombie's movie. He looks mwah. This is the most intimidating and scary Michael has looked since the original Halloween movie, in my opinion. Tyler Mane is amazing as Michael Myers. The costume, the mask, the jumpsuit, I think all of it is amazingly well put together. Halloween 2007 starts off with a young Michael Myers, and he lives in a very dysfunctional household.
Bitch, I will crawl over there and I will skull fuck the shit out of you.
Oh, I'll get the crutches for you.
I'm Michael Jordan. McDonald's restaurants have given me this time to talk to you about something we both really care about. Kids, listen, stop it. Get some help.
We don't know anything about any of these people. All we know is that the situation Michael is in is horrible. We don't know anything about this Ronnie White guy. He's just there. He is some boyfriend that the mom is dating. And then the sister's mean to Michael for no reason. We don't know anything about her. We don't know anything about the mother, except that she's Rob Zombie's wife. But she does a good job with what she's given. And then we have this baby here, and I love the little insert shots that Rob Zombie captured of the baby's reactions. We, the audience, get an overall sense of the environment that Michael Myers is raised in. And it's a sad situation. I feel bad for Michael because he is not getting any love from anybody. I mean, yeah, from his mother, but his mother is letting all of this emotional abuse happen.
You are starting to annoy me, boy.
I hate you.
And I hate you too. You see this? As soon as this heals, I'm gonna break it again on your fucking face.
Enough, all right? Can we just eat in peace for once?
Now, I realize that fan statistic-wise, a majority of people hate this incarnation of Michael Myers. They absolutely hate this backstory about Michael Myers. Because we don't need an explanation about Michael Myers. We don't need an explanation about how Michael Myers became the boogeyman. But I beg to differ. I feel like this is Rob Zombie's movie. This is a complete remake. This is a complete reimagining. So I think what Rob Zombie presents to the audience here, it's something different and new. But I accept it because I say to myself while watching this, you know what? There are billions, trillions of people that live on this planet. And I'm pretty sure that there is someone out there who lives exactly like this.
It's life that was like round and round. I feel your pain.
I heard they had to pump the cum out of her stomach.
He's speaking very inappropriately to Michael about his mom and his sister, and Michael retaliates. Then the principal shows up, breaks the whole thing up. Then we discover that Michael has been torturing little animals. And this is the point of the movie where the audience discovers that Michael is basically like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer. That is what I think Rob Zombie was going for here. Because of course he is.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
Michael gets revenge on the Spy Kids bully. Then we cut to Michael at home. He wants to go trick-or-treating, and Ronnie White is still antagonizing him. His mom has to go to work at the strip club. Then the mother's daughter's boyfriend shows up, and the sister's supposed to take Michael trick-or-treating, but she is very mean to him.
What about trick-or-treating?
Are you kidding me? Go by yourself. Aren't you too old for that anyway? Whatever.
Sorry, Squirt, but have fun.
So then Michael is sad that he can't go trick-or-treating. His sister is upstairs having sex with her boyfriend. His mom is out there stripping, and Ronnie White is intoxicated, passed out on the chair. So in the final moments of Michael's rampage, he goes for the baby. But he doesn't kill the baby because he loves the baby. So the thing that was running through my mind during this moment, Michael so far only killed people that were mean to him. He killed the bully that was talking trash about his mother and his sister. He killed his mother's boyfriend who was constantly mean to him. He killed his sister because she was mean to him. He killed the boyfriend. He's just a casualty.
Jesus, what the hell happened now? Give me the baby. Michael, what is going on? Answer me.
But for now, 3 people brutally murdered and a 10-year-old boy, Michael Myers, being held in custody.
Then we get into the second half of this movie, which takes place at the Smiths Grove Sanitarium. Michael Myers is being evaluated by the great Dr. Loomis. And I enjoy all of the young Michael scenes that take place in the sanitarium.
It's okay, Michael.
Could I ask you something?
You can ask me whatever you want. That's why I'm here. If you have anything on your mind, feel free. Anything.
Okay. Why do you talk so funny? Hey, Mommy.
Yeah.
Is everyone at home okay?
Everything's okay at home.
What do you remember about that night, Halloween? So you remember nothing about the killing? You remember nothing about getting a knife?
I didn't do that.
And then we cut to a sad moment of Sharon Moon Zombie watching some old video footage of young Michael and her family, and she is crying her eyes out. She kills herself. She shoots herself off screen. You hear the baby screaming in the background. This is very sad. Then we skip ahead 15 years later, and Michael Myers is a big behemoth. He's played by Tyler Mane now. When we see Tyler Mane play the adult version of Michael for the first time, it doesn't feel jarring to me because when I watched the young actor Doug Finch, who played the younger version of Michael, it seems like these two actors were in sync with each other perfectly. Now, Dr. Loomis is older. He has this cool beard, this cool hairstyle. He looks awesome. He officially retires as Michael's psychiatrist. He says, "Take care, Michael." He says his goodbyes. Now he's promoting his book about Michael Myers. He's out there doing his thing. There are 2 different versions that show how Michael Myers escaped the sanitarium. The theatrical version that was shown in the theater is more of an exciting, exaggerated version of how Michael Myers escaped. The director's cut shows a woman getting raped in Michael's cell by a staff member that works at the facility. Earlier in the movie, this crew member makes a comment about Michael and his cell and what he would do later.
I'll come in here and fuck this place up one night. You watch.
Which version do I prefer? I honestly have to say I prefer the rape scene. He doesn't kill the woman, he kills the two staff members. Basically, he just saved this woman's life. Danny Trejo's in this movie, and we're not entirely sure what's about to happen to Danny Trejo towards the end, because even Danny Trejo says, I was good to you, Mikey. And he was good to Michael. He even inspired Michael to create those masks.
You gotta look beyond the walls. You know, learn to live inside your head. Hey, there's no walls that can stop you there.
And then right after that moment, Michael goes to Loomis and shows him his mask. Danny Trejo's character inspired Michael Myers. And so I did think that there was a relationship there. So when these two have their confrontation at the end, I thought the thing up to this point was that Michael was only killing people that were mean to him. And so at the end, I'm like, what is he gonna do with the Danny Trejo character? And so I thought that this was a pretty good executed sequence of events. So Michael unfortunately kills the Danny Trejo character, and the only thing I can chalk this up to as to the reason why Michael killed Danny Trejo is because Danny Trejo wouldn't stop calling Michael Mikey.
Good to you, Mikey.
Finish him!
I don't think that that's the case, but that's the only explanation I can come up with as to why Michael killed the Danny Trejo character.
I gotta get back to work. You take it easy, Mikey.
I'm about to be on some real murder shit, eh?
So Dr. Loomis is told about Michael's escape. Then we got Big Joe Greasley up in this bitch, and this illustrates how Michael Myers got his jumpsuit. Joe Greasley and Michael have a pretty exciting altercation.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.
Cool. Michael Myers returns to his childhood home. He goes in the basement and retrieves the mask that he was wearing when he killed his sister Judith. Hey, he hid the mask underneath the floorboards. How in the hell did he manage that? So then Michael Myers hears noises coming from upstairs and he goes to investigate. Laurie Strode is dropping off some paperwork at the Myers house because her father owns Strode Realty and he is trying to sell this piece of shit.
There's no place to screw around, Laurie. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal? Do you know whose house that is?
We meet Laurie's friends, Annie and Linda, and Annie is played by the great Danielle Harris, who is a returning actor of this franchise. She was in Halloween's 4 and 5 playing Jamie Lloyd. She's not playing the same character here. She's playing a different character, which I find very interesting. Way to go, Danielle Harris. I'm not complaining. I thought she was great as Jamie. She's great as Annie. And it doesn't hurt that she is a fan favorite actor amongst the Halloween community.
Samuel's definitely personified fate. In Samuel's writing, fate is immovable like a mountain. It stands where man passes away. Fate never changes.
So then we have this title card which says Trick or Treat here, and I don't know exactly what the hell's going on here, but I guess it's meant to transition into the next scene. But then it doesn't make any sense, because first Michael is stalking Laurie, and then he goes home for some reason, and he's just standing there on the balcony. Linda and her boyfriend are having sex. Her boyfriend goes to get a beer. Michael pops out, pins him to the wall.
Come on out.
While I'm watching this scene play out of Michael killing Linda, I'm thinking to myself, this looks a little silly. The reaction of Linda here being choked doesn't feel real to me. I don't really care for this scene at all. But the one thing that did intrigue me about this whole sequence was how it reminded me of when young Michael killed his sister and her boyfriend earlier in the film. I'm thinking that the older version of Michael is playing out that same scenario of him killing his sister when he was younger in his head. And so that would have been an interesting thing to go for here, but I honestly feel like this whole segment eventually just gets trashed. It's just mimicking what happened in the original movie. It just all feels out of place. Then Michael goes back on his quest stalking Laurie Strode. He kills Laurie's parents. And we have these silly moments between Sheriff Brackett and Loomis. Malcolm McDowell is doing the best job that he can to spit out these iconic lines that Donald Pleasence made famous.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong.
He had nothing inside. There was something missing. A void. There was no conscience, no reason. Even in a rudimentary sense of life or death, right or wrong.
And after listening to this nonsense, Brackett is like, to do what? What is he going to do? What are you talking about?
He's come back for her.
What?
How about that? Isn't that amazing?
Joke?
He's come back for his baby sister. I know it's in my bones, Sheriff. To do what?
But then Brackett spits out this nonsense about, oh, if I break a promise that I made. And so then he calls the Strode family, and in a very scary image, we see the Strode family dead.
Have a happy Halloween!
Michael ends up getting Annie alone, and he attacks her. Laurie has decided that she has had enough of these damn kids, so she takes the little girl back over to Annie, and Laurie and the little girl make a shocking discovery. Laurie calls 911, Michael plays around for a little bit and then ends up confronting his long-lost sister. Brackett and Loomis are in the car, and Brackett explains to Loomis Laurie's history.
About 17 years ago, I respond to a 911, which turned out to be the Myers woman's suicide, and I see this beautiful, innocent baby sitting in this bloody mess, and I can't imagine this child growing up with the stigma around her neck, so I omit her from the report, I drive her to another town and drop her off at the nearest emergency room, and I think that this is going to be the end of it. About 3 months later, I find out from a friend of mine, Mason Strode, that he's adopted the baby.
I honestly feel like this moment was rushed and it was just squeezed in the film to give us some exposition. And overall, it's just, we didn't need the brother and sister angle. So then back to the action. Michael bursts through the door and kids run upstairs and Michael disappears until the cops show up, and then the cops end up getting killed, and then Michael grabs Laurie and then she's unconscious for some reason. Brackett and Loomis get the call that Laurie made earlier, so then they show up at the location. Brackett finds his daughter Annie naked but still alive on the ground.
He took Laurie. He took Laurie.
I guess he just made the assumption that since Michael captured Laurie, he's gonna bring her back home. Laurie wakes up in Michael's dungeon. She finds her friend Linda dead. Michael comes into the room to confess his love to Laurie.
I don't understand. Please, please leave me alone. I don't understand. You motherfucker!
So then Laurie's trying to escape. Michael bursts through the wall trying to grab her, and then she rips this gate open and climbs through it. Michael tears the wall to shreds, and then he rips the gate off its hinges. And then in panic mode, Laurie's running and doesn't notice that there's a big giant pool in front of her, so she falls in there like a dumbass. Then in a very cool shot, we see Michael circling around Laurie, and the music is good.
Scream for the kill.
Michael is starting to approach Laurie, then Loomis shows up out of nowhere.
Michael, it's me, Samuel.
Then Loomis shoots Michael Myers in the back, and it's very anticlimactic. I'm thinking the movie's over at this point. Then Dr. Loomis brings Laurie to safety. They get in the car, and Scout Taylor Compton tries to utilize the classic line,
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Was that the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, I do believe it was.
Michael rips Laurie out of the car. Loomis chases them down and confesses that it's all his fault. Michael throws Laurie to the ground, grabs Loomis by the face, and does his classic fatality. During the chaos, Laurie runs inside the house. She hides in the walls. Michael is in pursuit. It is pretty boring, but, you know, Michael does look cool. Come to find out, Laurie's no longer in her hiding spot. She steals Loomis's gun, and then she goes into the ceiling.
Jesus Christ.
Laurie stands up on her own 2 feet, covered in blood that she did to herself. Michael ends up standing there, and we have a showdown. Laurie slowly raises the gun and tries to point it at Michael, but Michael ends up spearing Laurie Strode through the barricade. I think this is the first time we see Michael run in this franchise. We don't actually see him run, but he did charge at Laurie. So Laurie ends up on top of Michael after all this chaos. And in a very nice touch with the ending, as Laurie is screaming, we see a flashback of a young Michael and a baby Laurie, and it just makes me think like, man, this is really depressing and sad. What a dysfunctional family. Overall, Rob Zombie's Halloween. I enjoyed witnessing Michael Myers' transformation into the iconic Michael we all know and love. The only characters I feel like get any development in young Michael's life is young Michael himself, obviously, and Deborah Myers. I do really wish that Rob Zombie had made a complete origin story about Michael Myers as part 1, then did a part 2 where Michael is in the sanitarium and then by the end he turns into an adult and he escapes. Then part 3 could be Rob Zombie's fresh take on a Halloween film.
Probably everyone in America would have been pissed if classic Michael Myers had not arrived at some point.
So with thinking about this and adding all this up in my mind, I think the movie's okay. It's very depressing. There isn't really any characters to like in here. They're all pretty annoying. I mean, Michael, watching him develop is interesting if you're into his story from the very beginning. And then when you finally get to see Michael in his full-blown glory, it's just a remake of the original and it's glossed over. Just, it feels rushed. But the look of it and the atmosphere, the tone of it, all that stuff feels fantastic. But by the end result, it's a depressing movie. It's depressing story-wise, and it's depressing as a Halloween film. I want to have fun. I want to be scared. And this movie, it just wasn't really scary to me. It was just really depressing. That's all I have to say.